Today, we're going to go over how to register for text messaging for your company inside a high level. Now, we're also going to go over the full A2P registration, all the new policies and procedures that I've updated that you need to follow. It's going to be a bit of a long video, so you might want to go back, watch this on slow-mo, more importantly, pause in between, because there's a lot of steps that you need to follow. And there's also a lot of details that have now come up to light that weren't there before. Also realize that a lot of people that were pre-registered before, they're now doing audits. And again, it's not high level. It's actually the company that does the governing of all the registrations that is then going back and actually removing or suspending phone numbers that are not following what they said they were going to do. So today I'm going to go incredibly slowly to try to make sure that you understand all the things that are required. Again, it's going to be a bit of a longer video, but I want to make sure you get out of this and you get past and you get the ability to go out there and do the text message that you need for your actual business. So stay tuned and build along with us. So over the last few weeks, we've seen a credible rise of declines on a process that we've been following close to over 3 years and never had a single decline once. Now, I could tell you it's because what's happening is registration and the rules are now being enforced by the governing body that monitors all these text messages. Not only are they declining more people for missing certain important steps, but they're also going back and retracting and suspending people that normally had things approved that are not following the actual A2P registration process and the rules that they said they were going to follow going forward. So I'm going to try to explain to this. There's a lot of moving parts here. So I'm going to try to go step by step. I'm going to do a general overview first, and then hopefully by the end of this video, you'll literally have everything you possibly need to get fully approved. Now, again, don't hate the messenger here. I'm not the person who's changed the rules or made the rules. I'm just the guy that's trying to get you to pass so you don't have any problems going forward. So first and foremost, there are a couple things that are really important that you're going to require in order to get approved for A2P registration. The first one is you need an active working site that these people that are going to check you are going to have to go in and see that you're doing all the things that you need to do. So if you're a brand new business and you don't have a site up, you're actually going to need a site up first in order for you to do that. The second thing you're going to need is you're going to need a privacy policy and a terms of service. You need to make sure that those are two things you get. Now, before you ask me where to get them, there are so many online generators at this point, it's ridiculous. If you literally do a search and you go to Google and you go privacy policy, there are free generators, there are more professional generators. But I got to be honest, a privacy policy and the terms of use are probably one of the most critical documents you need if you're doing business online. And now the rise of predatory legal people that are going out there and looking at your privacy policy, looking at terms of service and finding ways to sue you are on the rise also. So it's really going to behoove you to actually do some kind of legal version of this where you're actually seeking either legal help like Rocket Lawyer, which is where I got mine, or more importantly, after I got mine at Rocket Lawyer, I had to update mine with actually a legal counsel just to make sure that I was pretty tight and I didn't have anything that was not working for me. But again, you could go to Rico Lawyer, there's Legal Zoom, there's Law Depot, there's other lawyers out there that focus in on this. If you're just starting out and you're not a really big business, just use one of the generators if you're really in a money pinch. But later on, do definitely seek legal counsel to ensure that you're getting the best privacy policy you possibly can. Now, when it comes to the privacy policy, there is one really core rule that's super important. When they go into the privacy policy, and I'll use mine as an example, I'll go all the way down and I have my privacy policy here. Again, mine was actually written by a legal lawyer and entire legal team. So I'm hoping to God that this thing is pretty tight. But inside of here, what they'll do is they'll hit like a control F to search your page, and they're going to look for sharing of information. Now, we actually in our company do not share any information other than the systems that we use to actually run our business. Those are only people we share information with because we need it in order to process things like payments and transactions and posting and all that other stuff. So we actually always have it on our site that we will not share any of our information with anyone because we just don't believe in doing that. But more importantly, we may share things like payment processing, email service to email service provider. I can't send you an email if I don't share my information with you in my email processor. Stuff like that's really common, but it's important that throughout your language, they will look for share and they will look for affiliates. And if you have where you're basically sharing any information with your affiliates or any information with other third parties, this will be a high risk transaction and most likely be declined. So it's very important that when you write your privacy policy and you're going over, you can't like just blindly put it up there. You really want to take your time with it. That's the first thing. Now, on the terms and service, there are also things that you need to take into mind. So I'm just going to go all the way down again. And I'm going to go to terms and conditions or terms and service. And in here, there has to be a new section all about text messaging. Now, there is a boilerplate that is already included that high level has that you can leverage, but you at least, and again, you got to modify it towards yours. You can't just basically put it in here and expect it to be like whatever it is. If your certain business does certain types of text messaging, you need to make sure you're covered for what you're doing. But at this point in time, in your terms, you have to add a section on text messaging because most boilerplates do not have this. But if you go in here and you got to go all throughout, like the high level support portal, there's all the way at the bottom, there is boilerplate kind of terms of service things that you need to have in here that kind of gives you the basics of what you need to do. And again, can't tell you legal advice. You got to do it on your own. But more importantly, what's important here is that your terms of service need to have a text messaging section that basically talks all about the things that are required in order for you to be approved. Now, I know this sounds a little tedious, guys, but again, not making the rules here, just trying to help you enforce it. So far, privacy policy needs to make sure that you don't have any sharing language, either with affiliates or with anybody else, pretty much. When it comes to terms of service, you need to make sure that you're coming over here and you have an actual section that you have for just SMS. That being all said, again, there are some rules and guidelines, and it tells you literally in this help doc, and I'll make sure to click it towards the bottom. So just be very aware that if your terms and service or your privacy policy are not up to date, those are the first things that are going to get you to basically decline, and it's not going to work. So that's first and foremost. All right. Second thing is when you go in, and I'm going to go to a little SOP that I've written just to make sure it is. One, you have to have a live web page that you're going to use in order to do it. Secondly, there is a new process that it requires 2 checkboxes, one for marketing and promotions, and the other one just for transactional, like your appointment reminders and everything else. And you need to make sure you're classifying the people that are promotional and the people that are just transactional and the people that are both. So it's important that when you start sending text messages, that you're not sending promotional text messages to the people that said they don't want promotions, and the people that did agree to transactional, you're sending transactional messages. The second thing is that you can't just do it on one form. You got to do it on all your forms. A lot of people, what they were doing is they were setting up on one form, and then all the other forms that asked for a phone number completely ignored the policy. You can't do that. If you have a form on anything, on your calendars, on your website, on your funnel pages, and your website and your funnel pages might be in 2 different places. If you have one form on your funnel and one form on your website, and they're different forms, meaning you ask for phone numbers there, but you don't follow the policies, they are going back and checking multiple sites. And I'm going to show you the kind of the process that they follow. And if one of those things is off, then they're going to consider you high risk, that you're not following the policy, and they're going to cancel you, or pretty much they're not going to approve you. So again, want to make sure that you have that. And I'll go through all this, and I'm going to show you exactly what I did and what I'm doing. And this is a live build, meaning I am trying to get myself approved. I had an old Twilio account that was approved. It was probably a mistake doing this, but I actually canceled it to go over all these new policies just for you guys, just so then I can get approved and you guys can see the whole entire process as I'm doing it for myself. All right. The second thing is, again, if you're using a subdomain and a domain, what that means is, for instance, if I come in here and I'm using Nuno M. Tavares right here, and this is the domain that is my main domain, but let's say I'm using go.nunomtavares. If all of a sudden they come on here, they don't see a form, they don't see my privacy and policies being accepted, and all of a sudden they're like, hey, this doesn't match, or they need to see a form in here, which again, this isn't a form, this is an order form, and it's not going to have the things they require. What's going to happen is they're going to come over here, they're literally going to go like this, and they're going to start searching for a form inside of my website. And when they go inside my website, they'll click on, let's say, a calendar. And the second they book a calendar, if they notice that my forms in here are asking for a phone number, and again, they don't have it, guess what's going to happen? It's then going to get declined, and I'm going to be considered high risk. So it's things like this that are super important as you're building it out. But again, we're going to walk you through the entire process. Quick little recap. And please pause this, make sure you understand. Privacy policy needs to be built. You need to have a good one. And it needs to make sure that you don't have anything that's talking about sharing information. Then you're also going to need your terms of service. Make sure that it has a section just on text messaging. Follow the boilerplate, but then modify it to your actual needs and wants and whatever your business does. Third thing, if you have forms, you need to make sure that your forms, anytime they're asking for a phone number, they're going to have 2 consent boxes. One is for marketing, one is for transactional or service-based messages, and that you don't require the phone number. If you're requiring the phone number, you'll also fail because the number cannot be required. 2 checkboxes, phone number not required, and the forms need to be like that throughout your entire ecosystem. Whether it's your regular website or your funnel pages or your calendar, they need to have a form that has the 2 checkboxes if you're asking for a phone number, and more importantly, the phone number cannot be required. So I'll show you how to build those out in the format that we've been following in the language, but just please make sure you're understanding that in order to do so. And inside your system, you need to make sure that you have a way of segregating who's checked the box for SMS promotionals and who's set the box for SMS, which is non-promotional, like your service-based. And you need to make sure you're following the rules when it comes to setting promotional messages and setting just transactional messages. Hey, we want to interrupt this video for a quick little minute to just let you know that I hope you're enjoying this video. We want to thank you for being here, but more importantly, we are hoping that this content helps you do whatever you're trying to do inside a high level. We also want to let you know that you have options to get additional help. We offer a $197 a month VIP coaching program that includes 4 days of office hours, first come, first serve with Andy or myself, where we go in and we answer any of your questions that you might have live with the group setting for other people that are also working in high level. We also have a VIP group where we answer questions directly one-on-one with anybody posting in that group to give you the absolute best support. It also comes with a bunch of other features, including our funnel brick system, our little mini course, and more importantly, a couple guides that'll help you through this, and also including our SOP library that we use for pretty much everything inside of our agency. So thank you for this quick little minute, but more importantly, go back to the video, get whatever you need, and if you have any questions that we can answer inside the video, just drop a comment on the video and we'll make sure to answer whenever we get a chance. And now back to the show. The next part of this is that, again, just a reminder that at any point in time, the governing body that watches all this can go in and monitor your site. And if they find you're not doing the things you said you were going to do, they will remove your phone number, suspend it, and then you have to fight to get it back. All right. Now that being said, let's go out there and build some of this. I'm going to do first is I'm going to go to sites. Now, we actually have an A2P compliant funnel that we normally do because 9 times out of 10, when we're building funnels out, people are just getting established. We work with a lot of new people that are just setting up. So we want to start the registration process before everything else. So what we do is we usually use a compliance funnel that we have. And in the compliance funnel, we build it out like a coming soon page. The reason is because 9 times out of 10, our customers are coming soon and we're building it out. Notice that I have a subdomain that I put in here. Now, this is not a video on how to create a subdomain, but basically because I already have a website, I have to use a subdomain because all the forms that I have on my website are going to my high level account. So therefore, I have to build any kind of funnel that I want in here with an actual subdomain and not my main domain. So again, remember, if you're using a subdomain, which in my case is Go, I have to ensure that not only are the forms here relevant and right, that the other ones are also the same way. Now, quick little thing on the actual website, it has to be a real website. Meaning if you have your actual logo in here, you need to make sure you have your terms and conditions. You need to make sure you have your location name, meaning the actual name of your business. If you're doing DBA, what I usually do, just to ensure that I don't get stopped, I make sure that I include my main name and then my DBA. So my main business name is this, and then my DBA is Nuno M. Tavares, which is what I'm doing business as. And therefore, I need to make sure I have both. Now, the second part of this is, notice that I have the logo for my particular business, which in my case, it's my brand. So I have it right here. And then I have my terms and conditions linked and working, meaning I have this highlighted here, all right? And it goes to a particular link. So if you come in here, I have a particular link that's going to my terms and service or my terms and conditions. And then I have another one that has my privacy policy, right? Now in here, I don't have the phone number required. As you can see, all the other ones have a little asterisk. That means that they're required. These are not required. And then I have 2 checkboxes. Now, my checkboxes are for me. You would want to make sure yours are just for you. So again, there's no confusion. And again, if you want to know how to write these, it's I agree to receive automated reminders and service-based messages. This is my service box from my company at the phone number provided above, which is the number that they provide. This agreement is a condition of any purchase because it's not. Just because you download a lead magnet doesn't mean that you purchase something, it automatically happens. Message and data rates may apply. Message frequencies vary. And then I can text the word help to this number if I need any kind of assistance. And I'm going to show you some automations that you're probably going to want to create for this. And they can reply with stop or out to opt out or unsubscribe at any time, right? Now, the second one is the actual one that's going to be for promotional items. I agree to receive marketing and promotional messages from said company at the phone number provided. This agreement is a condition of any purchase. Message rates may apply. Message frequencies vary. Text help, blah, blah, blah for assistance. Reply, stop, and out. Same thing. But again, I am clearly dividing promotional messages and service-based messages. On top of that, if you want all this language provided by high level, that's where I got mine. And therefore, again, you can always seek them, but they're the governing body here. So whatever they tell me to do, I pretty much go ahead and do. And that's what we have. We have the marketing messages. We have all this, and we want to make sure that we stay very clean to that. The second thing is, again, because this is a coming soon page, because I don't have all my funnels built out for the particular brand, what I want to make sure I do is, again, The form is very specific. And also I added a terms and service and privacy policy that actually links, meaning these links have to physically work in order to have this kind of get approved. Then I have a logo. Then I have my terms of service and my privacy policy also down at the bottom, right? Now, the next thing is very important on your SEO metadata. Also make sure you have this. See, this wasn't complete. It has a fake logo in here. That's not good. That's not going to help anything, especially in getting approved, because then they're going to see it's a fake site or it's a site that's not fully ready. So I now do that. It's got my location name, but if you want to override that under your content, instead of saying location name, put, again, just to be safe, your business name. And again, okay, and you have it right in there. Please use the form to be added to our waiting lists, blah, 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 keywords, making sure this is all good. And again, just the owner, I'm just going to put my name in here. Okay, real easy. Update the SEO metadata, make the site live, make sure you have a physical link, and we're going to use this link later on. All right, so this is all really good to go. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit publish. Now, again, I'm doing the coming soon page because my regular site really doesn't have any forms other than a calendar. And I'm going to show you that I have to update the calendar form too and where to do that. And then I'm going to go over to the waiting list. And again, just make sure that the waiting list, when people fill out the form go to, because if they try on my form, and again, here's the logo here button, I'm going to have a problem. So I'm going to switch my logo out. I at least make sure that I have a logo because that it does provide a little bit of legitimacy. And then I'm just going to make sure it says thank you. And notice that this right here is all wrong. I'm just going to say, we have added you to the waiting list. Awesome. Right there. And then again, your logo, same thing. I just want to make sure it's as real as possible. So I come in here and just make that way smaller. And I just want to make sure that my terms of service and my privacy policy are also linked on this page and anywhere else that I have traffic running to or that somebody can go in and check. If it's an internal page, don't worry about it because it's an internal page. And you definitely want to make sure you get this link here. Click on this and make sure it's going to this. All right. So that's all said and done. All right. So again, just like before, make sure I take my SEO metadata. Again, there's that funky logo. Come in here, change it, location name. I'm just going to make it super safe. Again, cool. All right. Now I have a particular page. I have my form. Let's go to the form and let's look at the form and make sure it's right. The other thing I want to do is I want to duplicate it and create a calendar form that I can leverage and use for my calendar opt-ins. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and hit back, right? These two pages are ready to go. They're live. I'm ready to rock and roll. Let's go to forms. And we have a form that we call our A2P registration form. This is the one I was talking about right now. And again, a couple things about your form. Remember, you need the 2 checkboxes. Now we have custom values in here. Honestly, guys, if you see the squiggly lines, don't get nervous about it. Just literally click on it, go to the options in here and just erase whatever you see the squiggly lines and put your name, the phone number you're registering with, which again, this phone number right here should be the number you just bought because that's the number that's going to send all the text messages or whatever out. Now, the terms and service and the privacy policy, just make sure when you have them at the bottom of the page that they link to where they need to go. And again, phone number must not be required. All right. Everything else you can require. And by the way, guys, if you're not collecting phone numbers, you don't need to have the consent boxes. It is always good to have the terms of service and the privacy policy, but that's what you have. Now, I have this A2P compliance. This is from my coming soon page. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go in and create one for my calendar because my calendars do not naturally come with the form that has the 2 options and that has the terms of service and the privacy policy. So here's the form. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take that form that I worked on that has everything that it needs. And then I'm going to do is I'm actually going to duplicate it and I'm going to make a standard calendar form. So I'm going to come over here and then I'm going to hit duplicate and I'm going to call this 00 or we'll just say 02A and it's going to be A2P compliant SMS opt-in form for calendars. Okay. And I'm going to hit confirm. Now, any calendar that I went and created, I got to go back and add this form to this calendar. And again, this is not a calendar creation lesson, but I want to make sure that I go in. And again, I have multiple calendars on here. So I have my coaching calendars. So I would literally have to go in here and I'm just going to do one for now just to kind of get through the video. But what I will do is in forms and payments, there's a default one in here. The default does not come with a proper consent box. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace it with my A2P compliant form for calendars to ensure that my website has the proper form just in case to decide to do whatever they need to do in there. And I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And I'm going to do the same thing, at least in my strategy, because again, my strategy is the one that's on my actual website. It's been around forever. So I'm going to come over here under forms and payments. And again, A2P compliant form. that they're going to have on there. Like that, if at any point in time they decide to go in there and validate that this website has the proper form, it will. And again, just want to make sure that you understand that, for instance, if I come in here, now let me refresh this page. When they come in here to fill out a form now, this form inside my calendars, because the calendars natively do not come with this. So you have to go back in and you have to modify. Now see, now they have the terms and service and they have the privacy policy. And more importantly, they have the 2 checkboxes and everything else that I need to make my form compliant. So when I meant all forms, I literally meant all forms. If you have a website contact form and it's collecting a phone number, the website contact form is going to have a non-required phone number and the 2 checkboxes plus the terms of service and the privacy policy. All right. So again, don't shoot the messenger. This is the things you're going to require. So I'm just going to do a little recap to make sure you understand everything that we just did so far, right? Privacy policy, no sharing of information in any of the languages out there, or if you are sharing, good luck. You're going to probably be labeled as high risk and probably not going to be able to do text messaging. The second is terms and service. You saw the boilerplate that high level provides. Make sure that you have some kind of messaging around that's specific to you and your business that is regarding your terms of service. Again, not a legal lawyer, can't suggest where to get them, but pretty much you saw a bunch. There's LegalZoom, Rocket Lawyer, there's legal counsel that you can get. You can use the boilerplate stuff that high level provides. There's a bunch of online generators. You are in your complete decision and your own free will to do whatever you want. I can't suggest any of those, but those are the ones that are out there for people to use. Secondly, when we came in, you immediately went to a website. You saw that we're using a coming soon page, but remember that they will and might go and check that the domain that I'm using has a subdomain that might go to my main domain, and I make sure that my main domain has the forms in there that are required, including calendar forms going forward, because they need to make sure that they have those 2 checkboxes. Then on top of that, I went in and I made sure that the terms of service and the privacy policy are pretty much linkable, that people can click on and they go to the proper ones. All right. So now that part is done. The other thing is, because people might do this, you want to go into settings. And if you're using your coming soon page or any kind of page to go in there, what I want to do is I want to go down to domains and I want to make sure that if I'm using the main domain here, now honestly, this is a migration needed, but I want to make sure that I go to the domain that I'm using, I hit edit. And in here, instead of my coaching form, I want to make sure that the main site it goes to is my A2P compliance funnel. Because if they decide to just do this, and I'm going to kind of show you so you see it, if they decide to go.ninoMtavares.com, I want my first page that they see, my coming soon page. Because if they go to any other page, if they're just trying out my particular domain, the odds of them hitting on a page that's like an order form, it doesn't have what they need to do in order to verify and check that I say I am who I am and they're doing whatever it is that I'm doing, then they're going to probably cancel it, right? Or they're going to say I'm high risk because they went to a different website based on just moping around. And again, they might go ahead and do this. And if they do this and they hit enter, they're going to check this page. All right. They can do that. They're validating and they're going back and they're making sure that you are who you are. You're not some kind of scammer out there. And then more importantly, in order to get approved. So just be aware that these are the things that they might do. Now, there's a couple of other settings that are super important that we want to make sure we do. First and foremost, we want to make sure that our business profile has all the required information, meaning it has your name, your email address, and everything else that you need. But more importantly, you need to make sure that the street address and everything else that you are providing out there matches the actual information that you use to register your business out in the universe, right? Now, most of us that are in the US, and I can't account for other countries because you're going to have to use what's called a regulatory bundle. That is a completely different process. Go on the Go High Level website to understand how to basically do that. But basically, everybody gets one of these. This is what's called a CP 575 form. In the CP 575 form, there are a couple things that are incredibly important. First, it's going to have the name of your business, the way you register it. That name of the business is what needs to go in the friendly business name and your legal business name. That's first and foremost. The second thing that needs to happen is that in there, you had an address that you registered with. This address or the addresses you currently have registered with the state needs to physically match. The first part of registration is the brand registration. The brand registration is completely robotic. Once you complete the brand and you submit, it goes to the state website of your state. There's a backend system that does all this. It verifies that the name that you put in this form matches what you have in your friendly business name and your legal business name. Now notice, because I'm using both my business name and my DBA, I list both. I do the business name first. I do a little pike. That's its little straight line right here. And then I do my name. The legal business name is the actual name of the company, not the DBA. I drop that in the legal business name. The street address, I match exactly to what I registered in, and my tax EIN number, that's going to be the number I'm going to put in my EIN. Again, super critical and very important. If there is a mismatch and you're getting declined on the brand, it's because you did not register the proper thing inside of here. And when it goes up to get registration, it's going to get immediately declined back. So just make sure you understand that the first part is branding. It's all going to be pulled from here. And if this is off, so will that be. Once my actual name and phone number has been registered, the next thing you want to do is come in here and make sure that you are putting in here the way you've been legally filed, whether it's an LLC, an incorporation, whatever it is. And you want to make sure you put your business registration number in here, which is your EIN. And then you're going to want to put yourself as the authorized representative. And you got to make sure that the contact information here actually goes directly to you. So there's no issues in anything as far as like them being able to get a hold of you, right? So that's the first thing you want to do. Now, the second thing is after you have this completely done, what you're going to do is you're going to go over to phone numbers. And my process is I usually come in here and I buy my phone number first, just so then I have a phone number that can then reference, because I want to make sure that this is, again, what people see. But again, buy your phone number. You can just hit add number, add a phone number, and then come in here and just select whatever number you want. I usually filter by the area code first. So I come in here and under number, it says any part of the number. I do first part and I do 732 and I hit apply. And then it tries to find numbers in that area that are specific to whatever it is, right? And I go ahead, when I select a particular number, I hit proceed to buy. And then I have a number that I can leverage throughout my whole entire messaging. That's going to make it really easy for everybody to do. And then I label it. If you want to put and edit the configuration, again, I don't have any forwarding number. I don't want people getting into my cell phone. But if I did want, I can enable the call connect feature and a whisper message that says call coming from whatever source it is. I can enable call recording and I can have timeouts. Notice I have 1 second and 1 second because I use basically bots in order to do this. If I'm using voice bots, just understand that this will have to change because incoming, you're going to probably want it close to at least like 30 seconds. I did go back and I did go name this and I put a main number on it so that I can identify that this is the main number. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to start the registration process, which is all of this is what it's built into, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is go to the Trust Center. I'm going to go over and I'm going to just remind you again of what's happening here. There are two parts of this, right? The first part is going to be your brand. Now the brand is automatic. This is the part that goes automatically to the state website or into the governing website. And it's going to basically verify all the business information you put in that matches against what you have registered in the state. Now, if there's a mismatch of any sort, 9 times out of 10, you're failing brand because your CP575 is not matching what you put in, and that's going to cause you to automatically fail brand. Now, the campaigns is basically the harder part. That's where they're going to check your website, your forms. That's where we're going to check your privacy policy, your terms of use and service. All of that stuff is going to be checked by an actual human being. And this is also what goes back and gets rechecked if something didn't go the way it was supposed to, and so forth and so on. Just make sure you fully understand that, because if you don't understand that, then what's going to happen is you're going to just fail campaign and you're going to probably do it over and over again. So just be very aware of that. Now, what we're going to do is you're going to notice that this says unverified, yet to start, yet to start. I'm going to go down all the way to the bottom and I'm going to hit start registration process. A couple of things to keep in mind is that, is this business entity you're registering located in the US and Canada? For ourselves, the answer is yes. No, if you're not, then you're going to have to do what's called a regulatory bundle. That's going to be something you're going to have to do there. And there's a whole nother process, which we're not going to cover today. Now, as far as notice for US Canadian customers with tax ID, very important that I need you to understand something. We've done a bunch of these registrations, thousands over the last 5 years. And I can tell you that when you have a business entity ID, whether you're a corporation, a business entity, and then short like an LLC or whatever, the registration does tend to be approved faster. If you're trying to do this as a sole prop, it's a little harder to get approved. So just be aware if you are doing that, that is the process. We're not accountants or legal lawyers, but in our experience, it's always been better when we're registering a company versus an actual sole prop or an individual. But again, just read through this because it does tell you exactly what you need to do. All right. Now we're going to hit continue and notice that we have our legal business name. But again, this will be grayed out. I have my business number and everything else. Now, one thing to note about the business legal name, notice that in sometimes your CP575 will have additional name right underneath it. It's usually your name, depending on how you have it built out. And if your name is there, it is really good practice because mine, for instance, has my name right underneath it, and I am going to have to put it exactly the way it's spelled out. Just know that, again, if you have this, whatever it says in that CP5, let me see if I can find you a quick example. So if I go to CP575 examples, I'll show you exactly what I mean, just to help you understand. Right here, see how it has the first name incorporated, and then it has the second, and then it has all this. Everything, obviously, before the address is something that you want to include inside your name and just add it in here, because what happens is it will all of a sudden just fail you because, again, it's not matching to what you have on there. So just be very aware for that. So this is what I have. And again, this is the stuff that I'm planning on doing businesses with. So everything's really connected in there. And then I'm just going to hit continue. All right. When I hit continue, it's then going to verify my address. Now, again, it's whatever I have registered with the state. If anything's off at this point, I will automatically fail because my address by brand that is on my CP575 is not going to match as we see it, right? Then I'm going to go ahead and hit continue. And then from continuing, I'm going to put my business address and everything else, and I'm going to go through. Now, we have a low volume standard, and I have it right here that branding campaign registration one time is $23.95. You'll be charged an additional $3 for fast track, which is included to help you get approved in 3 working days. Campaign fees, and we'd be charged in case of campaign failures and resubmission. So it means every time you fail, you do pay. Additional fee can be up to $12 per month. Will apply in accordance TCR rules. Again, this is the governing body, just so you understand. Now, low value standard and high value standard, right? Low value standard is what a lot of us are going to fall into. Unless you're a big major corporations, you have hundreds of thousands of clients, and you're doing up to 6,000 segments per day, you're going to go into high volume. Now, it's incredibly good to just start at low volume and then work your way to high volume because you do pay more when it comes to registrations. You can see this is $68 and you'll be fast tracked an additional $3 for fast track program. So it does increase in prices. But honestly, in my experience, I maybe worked with one company in the last 5 years that needed this. Everybody else is going to be pretty much on low standard volume. Just to understand that at any point in time, you do have to upgrade to the next service, that if you click on high volume standard, that is going to be a particular problem because you're going to have to, no matter what, when you get to that level, you're going to have to re-register and go through this process again. But honestly, if you got approved once, the re-registration process is not going to be a big deal. And by the time you get up to that level, the least of your concerns is going to be the pricing, right? So we're all going to start in here and fully get up to date. And then I'm going to go ahead and acknowledge, because again, it's part of the process. I have to pay the fee, and I'm going to hit continue. Now, this is where the biggest mistakes happen. And this is where some of the other additional things are involved. People can use the examples in here. And basically, you're going to come in here and you can copy the examples and everything else. Please pay attention right now. If you're multitasking, doing anything else, apparently I talk very fast for a lot of people. This is very important. You see how the things here say company name, company name? If you leave this the way it is and you send it out this way, what is going to happen is you are going to fail. A lot of the examples that you're going to see throughout this whole entire thing are going to have examples. They're going to say company name throughout the whole thing. If you do not switch that to the company name you're registering with, what will happen is this will fail, period. And this is honestly one of the biggest mistakes we see constantly over and over again. Even after extracting this several different times, people don't go in here and they don't take the time to fill out. This has to be to your specifications of your business. If you decide to just send this in the way it is, it will automatically fail. You can't do that. You can use the examples here. If, for instance, you're only sending out campaigns and use cases, yours is only going to be confirmations and reminders. Mine is going to be confirmations and reminders, and occasionally I'm going to throw a promotion in for one of my courses or something like that, right? Or my consulting prices drop. Maybe there's a Black Friday special or something like that. So I am going to have a mix of promotional and appointment reminders and everything else. Basically, if you go into the pages that we're going to connect for you guys, it gives you use cases in here. This appointment sends appointment confirmations, message notifications, and offers for chiropractors estimates to existing clients. I'm obviously not going to be a chiropractor. This campaign targets customers who have opted in receiving marketing updates via our subscription form. Message will include promotional discounts, new product announcements, and inclusive offers. Honestly, this is a combination of exactly what I'm going to be doing, except mine is not going to be chiropractic care. Want to make sure you're covering everything here because this is the important part. This is the part if you slack out a little bit and you're not doing the things you need to, this is where you're going to fail, right? So this campaign sends appointment confirmations, message notifications. Messages will include promotional discount at times, new product announcements, inclusive offers for marketing and tech consulting and coaching. All right. To existing or new customers who have opted in to receive SMS notifications from digital to media and anonymous routers. The communications are sent via the website form. Users can opt out at any time by replying stop or out. And I'm just going to capitalize the out. All right. Nuno M. Tavares operates under Digital Voltage Media. And one other thing is Nuno Tavares operates under Digital Voltage Media, has DBA. Okay. And we just have it like that. And this is ready to go. Now, the example messages, I am sending appointment reminders. So I am going to include this as a sample message. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to basically copy it. And I'm going to drop the example directly in here. Now, as before, hi, this is Jane from company name. Anything that has company name in here, you're going to want to replace, right? So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to take this, I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to drop it right in here. All right. And more importantly, please reach out to this number. I do already have a number bought. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to go back to the current thing I had, and I'm going to go grab that number because again, I want to be as accurate as possible because I already have a number purchased. So if I go back to manage numbers, this is the number they are going to receive messages from. As long as it's sites to hold, there we go. I'm going to copy it, come over here, and then drop the number that I bought. And again, it has reply stop or out to unsubscribe. So now let's just go over our second message, right? I'll probably go in here. It'll be something like, again, for my membership. Hey, John, thank you for your recent purchase. Here is the 20% discount code you can use for our coaching services. Consulting 2025. Thank you again. And again, I always will add the name of the company to not be confused and the reply of stop and out at the end of the message so they see the examples. Now, the next part is pretty important. This message will include an embedded link. The messages will include phone numbers, which they will, and they will have embedded links. Messages include age-gated content as defined by carrier CTA guidelines. We're not going to do this. Tobacco and all that other stuff is prohibited anyway. So if you are going to be anything that's going to be 18 and over, like liquor and everything else, there's a whole other kind of really restricted registration process, and that's going to be really hard. And then your message includes direct lending or loan. So anybody doing mortgages or fall into the real estate, sometimes you have to make sure you explicitly explain everything about what you're doing, because then they'll consider you a loan kind of arrangement or direct lending. But any kind of loan, mortgage especially, make sure you're checking the box. And it's okay to do that. You're just going to mention in here that who you are and what you do, because then what it will do is it will just automatically know that you're at that. And if you have that included, it will want to see examples of mortgages or whatever else that you're trying to sell in there. All right, we're going to hit continue. Now, I have two sites, right? I have two sites. One is a coming soon site because we are redoing our funnels, and I'm going to come in here and just show you our funnels are coming soon because we haven't fully developed them yet. So if I come in here to my A2P registration, is we're redoing all these funnels. I'm trying to get my number approved. So we have our A2P compliance funnel that we're using, and this is our coming soon page that we have in here. And I'm going to be basically coming in here and talking about that, right? And again, they have an example, right? If you come in here and you can copy it, go ahead and copy this and paste it. End users can opt in by visiting. And again, here's where the biggest mistake people have. They leave everything in there the way it is. This will automatically fail. So if I come in here and it goes, I just leave this kind of link in here, this is what the problem is going to be, is that one, they're not going to see it, and they're going to probably fail you because again, it's going to a site that doesn't exist. This is why you need a site. There needs to be a physical person that's going to go in here and check everything for you. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to include both my coming soon page and I'm going to include my actual website. And then I'm going to tell you the additional step I have to take now because of the new changes and rules that are in here. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go to my coming soon page. And remember, we did all this. It's got a particular sign-in form and everything else. And I'm going to explain everything. Users can opt in by visiting, paste in here, and filling in their details. This is a coming soon page that will list all of our consulting services where people can buy. All right. Users check a box to receive notifications and promotional messages to provide their consent. Notifications and promotionals, because remember, we have the new text box. Additionally, users can start the word text. My users are really not going to do that, so I'm going to leave that out. And I'm also going to say, also note that I have a live website where people can book intro calls as my other site is developing. Here is the site where they can book. All right. And I'm just going to include the book a call page, which is my booking page right here. And notice again, I have my privacy policy and my terms. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take screenshots of the actual screens. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to create a Google Doc. I know this is crazy, guys. Just bear with me. And I'm going to say booking on-site process. All right. What I'm going to do is right here, I'm going to click on this. I'm going to put users book on my site for $15 minute intro calls. Please view screenshots below. All right. Because I want to show them that exploring around, like I said, that sometimes they do, I can go ahead and show them. Right. And if I come over here, what I'll do is I'll use like I have Snagit or whatever, just take little screenshots and I'll show them. All right. I'll save that. I'll save. Yep. And I'll go in and I'll take another one where I actually book an appointment because I want to show them the form. So I'll do something like this for them to see that the terms and service are there, that the phone number is not required, all the stuff that I need in order to pass. So I'm going to take another one. All right. And I'm also going to save that one. I'm not taking any chances. There we go. Then I come over here and I'm going to say, they go to this site. All right. Include the site again. Over here. Okay. Insert screenshot number 1. Load from computer. And I'm going to say, then they click on this form. Go back over here. Insert image. Upload from computer. All right. Because it shows a form. I'm going to say again, repeat, phone number not required, and both checkboxes are there, also not required, and both terms of service and privacy policy are also on page. Okay. And then the only thing I'm going to add to this form is just like before, they can stop out, reply, stop. And again, we're just going to come in here. I'm going to copy this real quick. They can reply, stop. All right. Go back in here. They can reply for stop or out to unsubscribe at any time. Okay. Boom. Here we go. We got it all set here. Now, very important. You're going to share. When you share this, make sure you take this, anyone with the link, copy the link. And what we're going to do is we're going to come over here and we're going to add it. The form is in the calendar. We're going to leave like that, right? So we're going to be going through this. And then over here, you can use the example right in here. You have selectively opted in to receive notification and promotional SMS from, again, the company name. Make sure you're always changing that. Okay. And then we're going to do my name again, because again, this is the way we have it set up. Now, just make sure you have that spelled right and reply with the word stop or out if you need to opt out in the future. Okay. Now we can leave that one like this. If you want to make a little bit more elaborate message, you can actually in our automations, which, by the way, I'll go over this in a quick little second because this is going to be important too. We have automations that we run, and in our text message automations, we do already have, notice that we have all these automations ready to fire and go. And if we come in here, the opt-in message is always going to be, you're officially opt-in to receive messages, message rates may apply, message frequent, blah, blah, blah. And we do it all in here. And what I do is sometimes I just come over here, I'm going to paste it like the name, John, just give an example. You are now officially opted in to receive notification messages again from just different ways that you guys can do it. And by the way, guys, all these message examples are also inside the samples with that high level has. Okay. Message data rates apply, recurring message frequencies varies, reply help for help, stop or out and to cancel anytime. And then I always include my name again. Boom. Okay, cool. And that's it. I'm now going to be ready to submit. That is what I'm going to have. The other thing that I'll cover just in here is that you do want to create a set of text messages. I'm not going to go over how to create these. You can download it from our snapshot. I'll be including the link below. We have obviously updated this to match in, but we wanted to give you a full run out. But a couple things is, one, make sure you do actually have the help thing. So if somebody actually replies with the word help, there's an internal notification that goes out. And then there's also an SMS that just responds back to the customer. Make sure you have one that is the stop or out, depending on what word you're using. Again, where they get a tag, they get added a tag, that SMS stop, they remove a tag of SMS opt-in, and we set contact D, and then we send an internal notification to all users letting you know that somebody opted out of our messaging. There's also the opt-in. So if somebody does come in and opts in for whatever service that they want, then it automatically comes in here, and that this works based off the new forms that you obviously have created. And then last but not least, when you have a bad number, make sure that you're identifying bad numbers. We've created this automation that basically shows you all the old numbers that kind of go along through. So these are all the things that you need to make sure you have. So please be very aware as that goes in there, because this is what's going to be required for you to actually get approved and have a pretty robust text messaging system. So hopefully this helps. Hopefully this gets you guys past, and we'll see you in the next one.